Hi everyone, welcome to Hatha Yoga. Let's start in child's pose this evening or day, whatever part of the world you're at. Come on down to your knees and bring your feet together to touch. And as you lower your forehead, you can decide where you want to put your arms, where it's most comfortable for you. You might even place a block under your forehead if that's helpful. So we've begun our exploration of the fourth niyama within the second of 8 limbs of yoga. And that fourth niyama or personal practice is svadhyaya. And we talked about how it means self-study. But I love how Helen Avery goes a little deeper in her article written in Wanderlust about svadhyaya. She says that svadhyaya reminds us that to fulfill the journey to samadhi, remember that's the 8th limb of yoga, that bliss state of basically living in meditation. In order to fulfill that journey, we cannot be half-hearted in our efforts to look at ourselves, to look inside. Svadhyaya is more than analysis. As helpful as analysis may be, self-study goes beyond learning the triggers caused by our past. It runs deeper than observing that our body is out of whack because of something we ate yesterday. That would be to know about ourselves, as spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle points out in his book, A New Earth. Svadhyaya, on the other hand, wants us to get to know who we really are beneath the mind's explanation. Svadhyaya asks us not to shy away from doing the deep dive, and it offers us a practice to take our search to a whole new level. When we feel uncomfortable hearing sad news, we don't ask why we are uncomfortable. Rather, we ask who feels uncomfortable. We try to reach that eternal self that lies beyond the mind and the analysis, the one that observes the body in pain, or the one that observes the script of the world playing out. Self-study is study of the self with a capital S, as we talked about on Monday. And if this study of the self seems self-indulgent as a practice, no, it is not. Think of how life would be if we knew that we were divine. We wouldn't avoid old friends who are not on a yogic path. We wouldn't run from the challenges our world faces. Rather, we could sit with others in their suffering. We could remain present and open-hearted without fear of how we will be impacted. We could bring about positive change in the world because we would not be afraid of what we would witness. We could be a compassionate force. Such an inspiring piece, just an extract from her article on svadhyaya. So I invite you to use your imagination to whatever point you may need in visualizing what it would look like to have that full knowing of your highest potential of being. Now, this might be a very ambitious visualization, but start. We got to start somewhere. What does that feel like to be fully in expression of yourself as divine, as the light within, not only the physical body? What would that mean in the way that you approached your physical movements in this asana practice? What would that mean in the way that you begin to breathe now, knowing such a truth about yourself, about each one of us? Well, let's start there and let's see if we can color our practice. Here's that chant again that I talked about. I'll be playing different versions of it throughout the week. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya. It's a prayer and invocation within oneself to call forth the light within, the integration of our shadows, things that we might repress about ourselves, with our light, things that we are proud of ourselves, to be the boldest version of our genuine being. So as you're here in child's pose, I invite you to deepen your breath if you haven't already. Allowing some long exhalations to your mouth, a gentle whisper or a sound that might need to release. Stretching your arms out forward with your hands apart, shoulders distance. Really spreading out through your fingers as you reach your index fingers forward parallel to each other. On your next inhalation, rock forward, entering cow pose. Parallel your shins, apart, hips distance, and begin to coil your chest up, lifting your tailbone. As you exhale into cat, contract your abdomen, tucking your tailbone beneath as you drop your skull to round. Taking several more cycles as you lengthen your breath. In and out to your nose, if that's available to you and you're not congested. And as you're breathing through your nose, inviting a soft whispering sound through Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breath, by gently narrowing the back of your throat, exploring the depth of your inhalation, and the complete release of your exhalation. Feel the base of your thumbs, the base of your index fingers rooting down firmly into the earth. Tuck your toes behind you, hips distance apart, your feet. And with your next exhale, bend your knees and lift your hips high into downward facing dog, allowing a few breaths of your own to explore space here. Any kind of movement or non-movement to help you arrive. As you continue to disperse your weight evenly throughout your knuckles, your fingertips, a slight buoyancy at the center of your palms. With knees very bent, lift your hips higher and draw your weight towards your rear wall, lengthening your spine as though you could create a flat back. Draw your navel inward, spiral your triceps downward towards the floor, and feel your neck loosen as you drop your skull, steadying your gaze, steadying your body for 3 more cycles of breath. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Allow your heels to become heavier, even if your knees are still bent, even if your heels are not touching the floor. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet, pressing your fingertips on the ground or head or on blocks or your shins. Inhale, lift your heart forward. Lengthen through the crown of your head and the rest of your spine. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Bending your knees slightly, shift your weight forward. Inhale, sweep your arms rising with a flat back. Let your palms meet towards overhead as you look up. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line. Let's flow through a couple of half sun salutations. Rooting down through toes spread, heels. Inhale, sweep your arms, look up. Exhale, bow forward, bend your knees any degree you might need to lengthen your spine. Press down with your fingertips and inhale, draw your chest through your upper arms, rising halfway. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Energize your legs as you press the earth. Inhale to rise, gazing up. Exhale, tracing your thumbs down the center line of your body like a blessing to yourself. Here I rise. One more time, inhale, sweep the space around you, joining the palms in union. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, expand your heart space forward. Exhale, bow in towards the earth and self. Rooting down, inhale, rise, palms meet. Exhale, hands together at your hearts. Let's step up to the top of your mat, and if you have blocks, you may want to place them a foot in front of your feet here, shoulders width apart. Now bring your hands to your hips and cross your right foot over your left foot so it lands on the left side. Bend your right knee and then start to hinge from your hips, belly drawing in. Lower your fingertips on your blocks or the ground ahead. Tilt a little more weight towards the balls of your feet than your heels. And as your left leg is straight, bend your right knee any amount needed so that you can hinge forward without rounding your back. Relaxing your neck. Can you imagine breathing down the back of your left leg from your hamstring, your calf, to your Achilles tendon, even starting from your left glutes, painting your breath up through the back of your left leg, and exhaling the breath down it towards the earth. Come onto your fingertips, inhale, rise halfway again. Bring your hands to your hips, exhale here. Belly firming in, chest open. Inhale, slowly rise. And then uncross your legs to switch the left foot over the right, so left foot lands to the right side of your mat. Bend your left knee, right leg is straight, and with a long spine, belly firm, hinge from your hips. Plant your fingertips in front of you on blocks or the floor. Inhale, rise halfway, tilt a little more weight towards your toes than your heels. Keep softening your shoulders back as you bow a little bit more each breath. Now in your mind's eye, can you paint your breath down the back of your right leg from your glutes, down your hamstring, down your calf, down your Achilles tendon. Notice if there's any gripping in the face here, or in the shoulders, or in the neck. These forward folds are a great way to just naturally take advantage of gravity to loosen any strain you might have around your jaw and neck. If it helps, you can softly shake and nod your head. Let's take one more breath. Again, firm your belly inward towards your back body. Engage the front muscles of your thighs. Root down through your feet, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, slowly rise all the way up to stand. Let's separate the feet hips distance. Parallel your second toes. And as you bend your knees are apart, hips distance too, maybe try to graze the ground with your fingertips. Then keep your hips that low or as low as you can. Extend your arms forward with your palms turned up so the triceps spiral down. Now look down and glide your shin bones back as we sit in modified chair pose or a variation of chair pose for a few more breaths. You want to be able to see your toes, feel your lower belly. Now yesterday we were talking about lifting the pelvic floor. Can you visualize the bottom of your spine and right in that area, lifting your pelvic floor where the navel draws in and slightly lifts towards your chest. Last two breaths, soften your shoulder blades down, maybe lifting your arms a little higher, shoulders staying down, chest open. Exhale, forward fold. Take hold of your blocks if needed. Plant your hands alongside your heels and step the ball of your left foot back. Come into a high lunge. Separating your feet hips distance, bending your front knee right over the heel. Gently rock forward and back, forward and back. Climb your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Broaden your chest as you gaze ahead of your right toes. Now set your back knee on the floor. Inhale, coil your chest up, sort of like cow pose. Look up towards the sky. Exhale, scissor your right hip back, straightening your front leg as you flex your toes off the ground and bow inside of your right leg. Let's take that 4 more rounds of breath. Inhale, bend the right knee, coil your chest up, dropping your shoulders. Exhale, scissor your right hip back, straightening the leg as you fold. Flex the right foot. Inhale, lunge, coil your chest. Exhale, scissor, more of a flat back as you fold. Last round, inhale, lunge, chest up. Exhale, scissor, and fold. Now come back to a high lunge. Plant your hands down so the left hand is on a block or the floor. Take your right thumb, hook it into the crease of your right outer hip, plug the right hip downward and back. Right knee's right over the heel, facing forward. Press your inner left heel more firmly behind you and lengthen your tailbone towards it. Now draw the crown of your head towards your front wall, shoulder blades down your back. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, draw your navel deeper towards your spine and begin to spiral your chest to face your right wall. Breath by breath, raising your right arm straight up, or a little more of a lateral extension, spiral your right tricep to face your right wall and sweep your right arm towards your front wall while equally lengthening both sides of your neck. Now feel your two hips, firm them towards your midline. Spiraling your chest here in this twist for 2 more breaths. Inhale, backstroke your right arm. Land your 2 hands to the floor, step to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, glide forward, lower your chin to touch the ground. Tailbone to the sky, hug your elbows close to your ribs. Exhale, gliding forward. Inhale to cobra. Draw your shoulders down, chest forward, tops of the feet firmly rooted. Tuck your toes, hollow your belly as you lift or plank, then downward facing dog. Let's take a deep breath. Bend your knees, lift your heels high, look beyond your fingertips. On emptied breath, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat, forward fold. Feet hips width apart, parallel. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Feel length through the sides of your torso. Exhale, fold. Root down through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms all the way up. From here, use your left hand to catch hold of your right bent elbow. Bring it behind your skull so your right palm lands between your shoulder blades. Walk your 2 shoulder blades down your back. Seal your front ribs in towards your back body. Get a little taller through the spine. And then exhale, side bend to your left. Few breaths. Root your right foot a little deeper. Lengthen your spine from your pelvis as you inhale. And exhale, side bend a little more to the left. 2 more breaths. Inhale, come to center, raise your arms overhead, watch your palms meet. Exhale, dive into a forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Hands on the floor or your blocks, framing your outer heels. Step the ball of your right foot back into a high lunge. Separating your feet hips distance and parallel, take a moment to rock gently forward and back. Forward and back, a little bit of movement for your groins, for your hamstring on the left leg, for your right Achilles tendon, maybe even the calf feels something here. Feel your shoulders soften downward as you lift your chest and broaden it forward. Then set your back knee to the ground and inhale, coil your chest up, look towards the sky like cow pose. Exhale, scissor your left hip back, straightening your left leg as you curl up your left toes and fold. Long spine. 4 more breaths. Inhale, lunge. Coil your chest up. Exhale, scissor left hip back, straightening the leg, flex the foot. Hold. Inhale, lunge. This song sort of gives me the feeling of honey, really slow, fluid movement. And you bring that into this last round. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, scissor left hip back and fold. Now returning to a high lunge, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Take your left thumb to hook the outer crease of your left hip, drawing it back and down. Stack your front knee just over the heel, facing forward. Right hand can be on the floor or a block. Now as you firm your inner right heel towards your rear wall, lengthen your tailbone towards it and lengthen the crown of your head towards your front wall. Feel your shoulders move down your back. Take a deep inhale. With your hips remaining even in height, exhale, spiral your chest to slightly face your left wall. Taking your time in increments here. Inhale, lengthen some more. Exhale, spiral some more, raising your left arm. Or for more lateral extension, rotate your left tricep to face your left wall and sweep your left arm towards your front wall, keeping length throughout your neck. Let's take a couple more deep breaths. Inhale, backstroke your left arm. Land your hands in plank, whether legs straight or knees on the ground. This time through Chaturanga, exhale, glide forward. Bend your elbows close to your side ribs to lower, either into Cobra or Upward Dog. Take a deep breath, grounding firmly through the tops of your feet. Exhale, toe your hips back, drawing navel towards spine. Let's take a full breath. Bend your knees, look forward. At the bottom of your exhale, lift your pelvic floor and lightly land at the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Firm down, inhale to rise. Now with your right hand, catch hold of your left bent elbow. Bring your left palm between your shoulder blades, your elbow behind your head, and walk your shoulders down. Take another deep breath as you firm down to your feet and lift your spine taller. Hug in your front ribs. Then exhale, side bend to your right. We're here for a few breaths. Each inhale, establish the stability of your base, your feet, your tailbone anchoring towards between your feet. With your exhales, lifting and side bending. One more breath. Inhale, rise up. Let your palms meet towards the sky. Let your feet meet to touch. Exhale, sit down into chair pose. Staying in chair, legs hugging your midline. Inhale, your arms forward and up. Utkatasana, shifting your weight towards your heels. Exhale, shift forward. Uttanasana, fold. Inhale, press to lengthen halfway up. Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank or float into Chaturanga Dandasana, flowing to your vinyasa. Into Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhaling into Downward Facing Dog. Now lift from the inseam of your right leg as you inhale, right foot lifts back. Exhale, bend right knee towards your nose, hollow your belly round to plank, lightly stepping right foot forward to a high lunge. This time from down through your feet, inhale, rise up, all the way up to crescent. Cactus bend, your elbows apart, crossing your left elbow over the right. Give yourself a tight hug, or hook your thumbs, or wrap your forearms and palms. Melt your shoulder blades down your back. And lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders while pressing your forearms away from your face. See if you can bend a little deeper. Front knee right on top of the heel. Right hip slightly scissoring back as left outer hip slightly rotates forward. Lift your frontal hip bones. Can you feel a lift at your pelvic floor? Option to begin coiling your chest up here. Tilting your heart and gaze towards the sky. Last 3 breaths. Take another inhale. Lift your elbows a little higher if you can. Turning left, exhale, backstroke the left arm, spin the left heel down. Align right heel to arch of left foot, warrior 2. Keeping your right knee and middle toe facing forward. Wrap your right glute and outer hip underneath your body to turn out your front leg. Feel your left leg slightly turning inward. Root down to the outside edge of your left foot, lifting its inner arch. Feel the contrast of rooting down through the big toe mound of your right foot. And now as you keep your feet still, can you imagine as if you're dragging them towards each other? Even though you may bend the front knee a little deeper, use that to feel a slight lift at your pelvic floor as you elongate your spine, relaxing your shoulders. Let's take 3 more breaths. Steady gaze past your right hand in Virabhadrasana 2. Turning out your left leg from the hip, making sure you're rotating from the hip socket. Both legs turned out in this wide stance. Bend your left knee in line with your left middle toe and curl your right toes up to flex. Now you can bring your hands to your hips here as we enter Skandasana. You come lower and place your hands on blocks if they're available, or on the floor if that is available for you. Another couple of breaths here. And if your arms are reaching your inner thigh, you could nudge your inner left thigh a little wider. Switching to side 2 in Skandasana, pass through center, both legs stay turned out. Like a wide-legged squat, bend right knee, curl left toes up, flexing your left foot. And if your right arm is reaching, you can gently nudge your inner right thigh open. Deep breath in, lift your heart space. Slow breath out, relax what doesn't need to be working so hard here. The face, shoulders. Now pay attention to your left whole leg. Rotate it like it's one big pole in your hip socket. Internally rotate your left leg so that you can turn to face the front of your mat again in a high lunge. Tuck your left toes, step into plank. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Cobra or upward dog as you breathe in. Exhale to downward facing. Lifting from the inseam of the leg, inhale, raise your left leg back. Rounding forward, exhale, bend knee to nose. Lightly step the left foot inside of your left hand in high lunge. From down through your feet, inhale, rise into crescent lunge. Bending your elbows apart like a cactus. Cross your right elbow over the left. Now either give yourself a tight hug, hook your thumbs, or wrap your forearms and palms. Release your shoulders downward and lift your elbows upward until elbows and shoulders meet at the same height. Gently press your forearms away from your face. Can you send breath into that window you're opening at the center of your upper back, just behind your heart center? Spiraling your right outer hip slightly forward and tacking your left outer hip back. Bend your front knee right over the heel and lift your frontal hip bones. Last couple of breaths here. So that lift of the pelvic floor, also known as Mula Bandha. Remember, Mula means root, like the root energy center at the base of the spine. Bandha is an energy lock, and it's a way to contain energy in the body so that it doesn't just spill by being too lax. Inhale, raise your elbows a little higher if you can. And backstroke right arm, spin right heel down. Open left arm towards the front and align left heel to arch of right foot. Warrior two. So your breath and your physical alignment work together to direct the current of energy throughout your body. There are various currents at work. They're called vayus. Spiral your left outer hip underneath. Turn your right leg slightly inward. Root downward towards the earth through the outside edge of your right foot. Downward through the big toe mound of your left foot. And without external movement, bring the energy of dragging your feet towards each other to feel a slight lift. Again, that Mula Bandha. A slight lift at your root, pelvic floor. Now trace your awareness in your upper body. Is there any unnecessary tension happening in the face, in the shoulders, or in the neck? Find softness where you don't need too much tension. 2 more breaths. Now rotating from your right hip socket, turn out your right thigh, so right knee and toes turn out in this wide stance, entering Skandasana. Bend your right knee, curl up your left toes, flex the foot. Nice strengthening for your inner and outer thighs, or maybe you sink a little lower if that's available. Hands on a platform or hands on the ground, perhaps nudging right arm against inner right thigh. Just a couple more breaths here. Passing through wide-legged squat, keep your legs both turned out, both knees bent as you move through center. Switching legs in Skandasana. Bend your left knee, curl your right toes up, flex the foot. If you're high away from the ground and your hands are not resting on a platform, really engage the muscles in your legs to help balance. Heart lifting, shoulders relaxing. 2 more breaths. Now again, you'll want to rotate your entire right leg from the hip socket. Internally this time, so that you can walk your hands to the front of your mat, pivot to face forward in a high lunge, stepping back to plank. Now either hold plank, take cat-cow, or a full-on vinyasa, your choice. Knowing you always have the option to rest whenever it's needed. Taking care of yourself. When you do arrive in Adho Mukha Svanasana, let's take 3 more deep breaths. Bend your knees, look forward. On empty breath, Mula Bandha, lift your pelvic floor, walk or float to the top. Feet together to touch. Inhale, lengthen halfway out. Exhale to fold. Knees together to touch. Inhale, sit low in chair. Bring your right thumb to hook the right hip crease back. Send your left sitting bone back as you sit a little lower. Knees stay in one line. Lengthen your spine forward. And then rotate your chest incrementally to face your right wall. Entering revolved chair pose. Option to press your left forearm against your outer right thigh and open both arms wide. Option to sit even lower and hook left elbow outside right thigh. Maybe join the hands in prayer. Or option, if you're feeling it, an arm balance, revolved crow, planting your two hands at the right edge of your mat, index fingers pointing towards right wall. And then the arms are like chaturanga, elbows pointing towards left wall. Leaning forward to press off of your two upper arms with your right outer hip and thigh. If you are in revolved crow, option to straighten left leg. And then back through center and chair, arms up, take a deep breath. Now as you exhale to rise, join your hands at your heart, lift your left foot flexed off the floor, bending left knee just in front of you at the height of your hip. Option 1, tree pose. Turn out your left leg and place the sole of your left foot on the inside of your right leg, above or below your knee. Option 2, hand to big toe pose. Bring right hand to right hip. Use your left index and middle fingers to clasp your left big toe. And to whatever degree, straightening left leg forward, draw your left shoulder back and down. Then turn out your left leg and slowly open it to its side. Perhaps counterbalance with right arm, opening to its side. And perhaps playing with gazing past your right hand. So whatever way you're playing with your upright balance, let's take another 3 deep breaths. So besides, what am I feeling right now? What's happening in my body right now? Let's pose that other question of Svadhyaya. Who is feeling this? Who is witnessing this experience? Gazing forward again. If your left leg is open out to its side, bring it forward, right arm up. Otherwise, from tree, bend your left knee in front of you. Join your hands in prayer. Take another deep breath, rooting downward to lift upward. And then exhale, mountain pose. Releasing your arms, stand by your sides, palms facing forward. Perhaps closing your eyes for a few deep breaths. Recentering. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, gaze up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, press with your fingertips, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, bow again, feet touching. Bend your knees to touch. Inhale into chair pose. Raise your right arm forward, hook your left thumb on the crease of your left outer hip. Drawing it back, send your right sitting bone further back and down. Keeping your knees in one line. Inhale, lengthen your spine from your pelvis. Exhale, draw your belly in and spiral your chest incrementally to face your left wall. You could hook your right forearm against your left outer thigh and open your arms wide. You could play with sitting a little lower and hook your right elbow outside left thigh. Join your hands in prayer at the center of your chest. Or you could play with arm balancing in Haritha Bakasana, revolved crow, in which you plant your hands along the left side of your mat, index fingers pointing to left wall. Shift your weight forward to lean against your upper arms with your outer left thigh and hip. And from revolved crow, option to straighten your right leg into Kundalini. Breathing in, breathing out. Begin to make your way back to center in chair, raising your arms overhead as you sit, perhaps a little lower. Deep breath in, Utkatasana. Root into the floor, and as you rise to stand on your left leg only, join your hands in prayer and lift your right knee to the height of your right hip, flexing your right foot. Now choose the same variation if you can as you did on side one. Tree pose, turning out right leg, foot on the inside of left leg. Or hand to big toe, left hand to left hip. Right peace fingers hook the right big toe as you extend right leg forward. Draw your right shoulder back and down. Spiraling your right thigh open and then opening the leg to its side. Opening left arm to its side. Perhaps look past your left hand. So whether you're in tree, Vrikshasana, or hand to big toe pose, Uttita Hasta Parangushtasana, or a dancing version like mine, let's take another 3 deep breaths. And then gazing forward, slowly bring your right leg forward, whether the knee is bent from tree. Left arm to the sky if you were in hand to big toe. Take another breath here, stand tall, and then softly land, Tadasana or Samastitihi, mountain pose or equal standing pose. A few breaths. So I'd like to invite you to practice your choice of an inversion before we start to wind down. Whether you're in a wide-legged standing forward fold, parallel feet, hands down on blocks or the floor, maybe walking the hands back, perhaps entering tripod headstand, or if you want to come down to hands and knees to come into dolphin pose, where you bring your elbows, shoulders width apart, interlacing the fingers or palms face down. Shoulder blades down the back, lifting the hips, maybe lifting one leg, and then switching. Or if you want to come into Shirshasana headstand, interlace the fingers from the dolphin pose setup and bring top of your head to the floor so the back of your skull is lightly supported by the inner webbing of your palms. Remember, in both headstand versions, you're using your upper body, core muscles, leg strength, hugging your midline with your legs and feet flexed. To maintain space and freedom in your neck. Remember, this is not an advisable pose to put weight on your head if you have neck injuries. So whatever your inversion, try 5 to 10 rounds of breath before you begin to land in child's pose. Or if you're in a standing forward fold, ease your way up to standing upright, then into child's pose. And when you do arrive in child's pose, some deep exhalations through your mouth, perhaps lion's breath, where you exhale with your mouth wide open, tongue sticking out, eyes wide open too, and crossed if you like. That's the traditional practice. Just cooling off a bit through this breath practice. Rabbit pose. So from child's pose, the feet are together, the knees are together. You bring your arms down by your outer calves, and then your thumbs land on the outer sides of your heels, and the rest of your fingers come towards your midline and between your heels, holding your heels like baseballs. And then you tuck your chin towards your chest, and as you're pulling your heels towards you, you're also lifting your hips as high as you can. So you come onto the top of your head, but little weight is actually on your head. The counter force pulling your heels and your hips lifting to stack above your knees. Remove the weight from being carried by your skull. Feel a stretch across your back here. If you're still in rabbit pose, take a couple more deep breaths before you land back in Balasana, child's pose. And once in child's pose, plant your hands alongside your knees. Slowly inhale, roll up to sit. Scoot the pelvis to the center of your mat with your feet in front of it. Grab a block, skinniest width, hug it right in between your thighs, and let's strengthen our core through many ways as we extend the arms forward and take your time to slowly lower onto your back. Feel a hugging inward towards your midline from the front body, from the back body, from the side body, all towards your center. Lowering very slowly so that when you land your skull and your arms are straight down by your sides, you locate your feet by sliding them back to the point where you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not, just almost. Then paralleling your feet, spread your toes, spread your weight to the four corners of each foot. Prepare for 2 rounds of bridge or Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward bow. I'm going to start in bridge and I'm going to take the second one in upward bow if you want to follow me through that. For bridge, inhale, lift your pelvis off the floor, hugging the block. Reach your tailbone forward actively. Walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs, interlacing your fingers only if it doesn't cause you to flare your elbows apart, which becomes counterproductive to opening the fronts of your shoulders. You'll notice that if you do flare the elbows apart, the shoulder bones begin to round forward. We want the opposite of that here. You want to open the chest wide and draw the backs of the shoulders onto the ground as you tilt your chin back slightly. Now feel the counter forces at your legs. Keeping your feet still, bring the energy as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes. That should activate your hamstrings. Counterbalance by drawing the front of your thighs towards your front wall, opening up your hip flexors. This is a brilliant stretch for your front body as well as your lungs. And when you finish, 5 to 10 deep breaths in bridge. On your own, use an exhale to slowly lower your spine, releasing your arms by your sides. Now, once you've landed your pelvis, keep the block between your thighs and just rest here for 3 breaths. Then on your own, either practice bridge, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana again, or you might come with me to upward facing bow. If the latter, extend your arms towards the sky, flex your wrists, palms face up, wrap your triceps towards your front wall, and then plant your palms down on the floor alongside your ears with your index fingers slightly turned out. Imagine you're holding a second block between your elbows so they don't splay apart. They stay shoulders distance the entire pose. Walk your shoulder blades down your back. Press through your feet and inhale, lift your hips. Lengthen the front of your thighs forward and energetically drag your heels towards your glutes. The same actions before. Then take another inhale and bring the crown of your head to the floor. Pause there. You might step the hands a little wider apart to prevent the elbows from splaying apart. Shoulder blades move further down your back. Press off the floor with your hands and feet. And perhaps you lift your head. Lengthen your sternum towards your rear wall that you're looking at. And lengthen your tailbone towards the block between your thighs. Deep breaths. Urdhva Dhanurasana. Upward facing bow. You want to feel a slight spiraling of your inner thighs towards the ground, a little internal rotation of your femurs. When you decide to come down from upward bow, take the stages in reverse. Crown of the head to the floor, then slowly chin to chest. Then gently, one vertebra at a time, pelvis lands last. And then again, once you have landed at your own pace, just let your pelvis rest on the floor for 3 breaths. You could put the block aside. You might even like to separate your feet a little wider than hips distance and knock your knees together to touch, creating a gentle broadening of space in your sacrum, gently stretching your lower back. Take a deep belly breath in, feel it gently rise. Take a longer whispering exhale through your lips. Feel the belly hollow. And you might continue with that style of breathing as we're cooling down now, separating your knees. Turn out your right leg at the hip and cross right ankle over left thigh like a figure 4 shape. Flex your right foot to stabilize your right knee. And either stay here, planting your right palm to press against the top inner side of your right thigh, gently splaying it open. Or you could thread your right hand between both thighs. Use both hands to catch hold of the left thigh or shin, and gradually bring your left leg closer to your chest while splaying your right thigh open. Or if your right calf is about less than a foot away from your chest, you could cradle the sole of your right foot and your right knee into the crooks of your elbows like a baby. And then extend your left leg forward to rest on the ground in supine single pigeon pose. Whatever version you're in, let's take 3 more deep breaths. Then bend your right knee into your chest. Straighten your left leg forward on the ground if it's not already. Slide your pelvis a little closer towards the right edge of your mat to prepare for a supine twist. Open your right arm wide, grounding the shoulder as you look past it, and cross your right leg over your body to the left, sending your right outer hip forward, a gentle tilt away from your torso towards the front edge of your mat. Deep inhale as though you could breathe up the ladder of your spine from base to the crown of your head. Slow exhale down your spine from crown to root. Gently roll onto your back. Bring your pelvis to center. Step your right foot on the floor. Turn out your left leg at the hip and cross your left ankle over your right thigh, flexing your left foot. Now either stay here and press your left palm against your inner left thigh, or thread your left hand between your thighs and use 2 hands to bring in your right thigh or shin, nudging your left thigh open. Or if your left calf is less than a foot close to your chest, cradle the sole of your left foot and your left knee into the crooks of both elbows and straighten your right leg forward on the ground. Supine single pigeon. 3 more breaths. Then bend your left knee into your chest. Right leg is forward on the ground. Let's prepare for a twist. Scoot your pelvis a little closer to the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide on the floor, grounding the shoulder as you look past it. Begin to cross your left leg over your body to the right into a twist. Send your left outer hip forward towards the front edge of your mat. Breathe in to the base of your spine, visualizing that up to your crown. Exhale from crown down your spine to the base. And rolling back to center, draw your bent knees into your chest. You might like to rock in different directions or circle your legs open and closed. Or shake your legs up out to the sky, arms shaking too. Any last brief movement or pose before we land completely in stillness. And in your own way, find a comfortable position to rest your body in for a few minutes of Savasana.